Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. Well, you knew changes were coming where the New Orleans Saints were concerned after an extremely disappointing 2014 season, and those changes have, in fact, started to occur. 3 coaches dismissed by Sean Payton, and Lenny, one of them, Terry Malone, has been with him from the very beginning, so that's a little bit of a shake-up to be certain. Of course, Henry Ellert and Curtis, the other ones.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, you mentioned Malone is, Sean Payton's a very loyal guy. He sticks with a lot of his guys through thick and thin. This is an organization that is, almost loyal to a fault to a certain degree, and that tells you right there that what has happened in 2014 is not going to be tolerated any longer, and he's going to go about trying to fix that. Still no official word from the Saints in that regard, but still in all, the reports out there are solid, and of course we've still not even heard anything, official whether McGriff is indeed heading to Vanderbilt. That's been out there for 5 days now. If that's the case, then now that's 4 coaches that Sean Payton is going to have to replace on his staff, and it will be interesting to see if that is indeed it. Is this the stopping point, or are there going to be more changes?
Well, anytime you have a disappointment like this, you're bound to have significant change and get out of your comfort zone, and I think that's basically what we're seeing from the New Orleans Saints, and it's totally acceptable, understandable, and really, you just kind of thought that this was going to occur. So, as a result, we'll stay tuned and see if anything else happens where the Saints are concerned. Of course, the NFL playoffs getting underway this weekend. One of them a divisional matchup of 2 teams that can't stand each other, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And Lenny, obviously, as you look at these playoffs, first time around with who's in it right now, you got to think that the 2 number 1 seeds are the favorites going in, New England and Seattle. Dallas, I think, is a live chance in the NFC. I'm trying to find that second team in the AFC that I really like that might have a chance. I really haven't been able to put my finger on that at this point.
It's hard to say, but you never know at this point who can really get on a roll and play well. A team, we watched Carolina over the last month, and, if Carolina were to win on Saturday at home against Arizona, and don't know who they would play, whether it would be Seattle or Green Bay, depending on how the Dallas-Detroit game plays out. But the way Carolina has played the last month of the year, throw the 7-8-1 out of there, I think they've got a live chance to go somewhere and maybe get something done. As crazy as it sounds, but beyond Carolina and Dallas, is there anybody in the AFC that you look at and you say, oh man, you would, especially with Le'Veon Bell being out for the game in Pittsburgh. I don't know that any of those 4 teams playing this weekend in the AFC can beat New England or Denver. And like you say, I don't even know if Denver can beat New England. So it's, is somebody going to jump up and be that, long shot coming out of this first weekend? 1 or 2 possibilities, but not a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned the one I would have picked, Pittsburgh, because they have great balance on offense. They can really run it and really throw it, and they're still capable on the other side of the football. But without Bell, who's an electrifying player, that really changes the entire dynamic for the Steelers. Of course, college football and bowl games continuing on Thursday, Friday. It's going to end here, fortunately, this weekend, but the primary game's over with. And, of course, the SEC took it on the chin. They really had a bad showing overall, and, of course, not the least of which was Ohio State beating Alabama in the Allstate Sugar Bowl. The right team won the game. They were the better team throughout, and it's remarkable the job that Urban Meyer and his staff did with a third-string quarterback.
Yeah, a lot made of that. A lot made of the fact that the top 5 teams in the SEC West all lost their bowl games. But I think that is just a small snapshot of a larger picture. This was a great year, for the SEC, but I think probably matchup-wise in these bowl games, and you had a lot of people probably really gunning for them, trying to do some things that it played out that way, not the least of which, of course, was the game, the one you mentioned, the Alabama-Ohio State game, and certainly the one that got a lot of attention in these parts, the LSU-Notre Dame game in the Music City Bowl on Tuesday. So, I don't think that all of a sudden this SEC is overrated talk. I think that's a little bit extreme. This was still a terrific year for the Southeastern Conference, even though they won't have a team playing for the championship game.
I agree with you. The only embarrassments were the two Mississippi schools and the way they played, Ole Miss in particular, against a very good TCU team. Mississippi State acted like they'd never seen an option attack before. Maybe they haven't. I don't know, but they sure looked the part against Georgia Tech. The New Orleans Pelicans back in action tonight as the weekend starts against the Houston Rockets, a team they beat in Houston not too long ago. And, of course, they're coming off of a brutal loss at San Antonio. Very unfortunate tip-in at the buzzer. Nothing you can do about that. That's bad luck. But in overtime, a lot of people taking issue with who was on the floor and who was taking the shots. And obviously that's going to be continuing conjecture on the part of the second-guessers.
Yeah, this, second guessers are, we can all do it. We don't get paid to first guess, unfortunately. They don't give us that opportunity. But some of the things that you saw in the San Antonio game were really frustrating, beginning with the play at the end of regulation. And you're right, it was just a bad break, and the ball ends up going in the basket. Now everybody says Ashiq tipped it in. I think Duncan did get it going in that direction, at least towards the basket, even though he did get a finger or two on the ball. But the sequence at the end of overtime as well is frustrating. Is the best thing you can come up with is Tyreke Evans dribbling the ball on the perimeter for 15, 16 seconds and then launching and I don't want to say an ill-advised three because you had to put something up, but that's the best shot you can get at 24 seconds. That seemed like you can do better than that. But this has been a team that has won and has lost and won and has lost. And now a chance to get back one over 500 on Friday night against Houston. Yeah,
look forward to it, and we'll see. But Anthony Davis is the man on this team. Somehow he's got to be involved in those situations. And we'll see if that gets corrected moving forward. Lenny, have a great weekend. Happy New Year to you and yours.
Happy New Year. We'll see you on Monday. We can recap some more football.
That's our First NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. For Lenny, I'm Kenny. Happy New Year, one and all. God bless you. Talk to you next week.